Today I updated our council on the significant response of the city to the unprecedented flooding in West Carleton, Britannia, and Cumberland. The response has been an extraordinary team effort involving city staff, community organizations, and the Canadian Armed Forces, and thousands of volunteers. The ward councillors in the flooded areas have been working tirelessly to support their residents. The city's Spring Freshet Task Force has been operational since early February, preparing and monitoring water levels across the Ottawa River watershed. In early April, the city was actively preparing for potential flooding by distributing sand and sandbags and proactively messaging residents. On April 18th, the city received an update from the Ottawa Regulation River Planning Board, which indicated a significant rainfall of up to 80 millimeters. Despite this, water levels at that time were not expected to reach 2017 levels. That changed on April 24th, when the board determined that water levels could ultimately reach levels of 2017 based on the forecast from Environment Canada. On April 25th, following the recommendation of the city manager, Mayor Watson declared a state of emergency due to several developments over a 24-hour period that required us to move quickly. The recommendation was given as a result of the pace and the extent of the snowfall from the northern regions, a significant rainfall advisory issued by Environment Canada, and most importantly, the Ottawa River Regulation Planning Board's amended forecast now predicting that water would in fact exceed the levels witnessed in 2017. This compressed our timelines, requiring more human resources to accomplish defensive preparations before the water crested. In declaring a state of emergency, the city formally requested assistance from the province of Ontario, including the deployment of military personnel. In the days that followed, water levels continued to rise, prompting a voluntary evacuation along Bayview Drive and Constance Bay. Voluntary evacuation remains in effect. Peak water levels were reached on May 3rd, and while these levels may be receding, our city remains in a state of emergency to provide the necessary aid to the affected areas. We are asking residents to keep sandbag walls up. The city anticipates water levels will rise again slightly between now and Friday, but below the peak levels that were reached last week. The sandbags will continue to protect their homes. Approximately 1.5 million sandbags have been filled and distributed by the Canadian Armed Forces and over 15,000 volunteers, and we have 375,000 sandbags in reserve. Maintaining regular operations for the remainder of the city has been a challenge due to the resources required in the impacted areas. However, city staff have been working around the clock to ensure impacts have been minimal. City staff remain highly engaged and are committed to the well-being of the community and those affected by this event. The city's application to the province of Ontario to designate an affected area pursuant to the Disaster Recovery and Assistance for Ontario's program has been approved. Today, Council approved deferral of property tax payments and suspended the application fees for a period with respect to the development and billing applications for those affected by the flooding. Further, Hydro One is waiving all connection fees along with delivery fees for the disconnection period to help their customers during this time, and the Electrical Safety Authority is also waiving connection fees in regard to the restoration of electrical services in flood damaged areas across the province. We continue to work with our partners in monitoring water levels and the forecast. We will continue to communicate with the public regarding our response and our eventual shift to the recovery phase. At that time, the city will need to focus on the recovery phase, and some of our services may be impacted. We will ask for committed support and patience while we support the needs of the affected residents in the flooded areas. Next week, information sessions will also take place on Monday in Fitzroy Harbour and Constance Bay, and Tuesday in Cumberland and Thursday in Britannia to assist residents in the impacted areas by the flooding. Thank you very much. Merci.